Hi everyone, welcome. We're down here in my wormery preparing to check in on a couple of my worm bins. They're the worm bins that we affectionately refer to as my original red wiggler worms. And they're getting up there in age, so I figured, instead of giving them something that's going to be hard to work down, I'm going to be feeding them very similar to what we did past couple check-ins. So like 2 check-ins ago, it was all fruits. So like maybe the pit will still remain for sure, but all that fruit matter from 2 check-ins ago has got to be gone. And even last time, they just got a bunch of leaves sprinkled out right across the top surface, as we're going to do today with this couple bunches of, or the leaves from a couple bunches of radishes. So the original red wiggler worms, being among my older systems at 234 days of age now today, are nearing the position reserved for the oldest of my systems, which is top left shelf. So once those 2 old systems are retired, the buddied up sister bins, brother bins, whatever you want to call them, of original red wigglers will be my oldest. So we're gonna get in there. They've been fed 19 times, so today's feeding is going to count as number 20. We're going to get them up on the bench and we're going to get them fed. So let's get to work. These couple pieces of paper bag that they're going to get as replacement top coverings are open on 2 sides, although you can't go all the way through because it is glued down together. Why am I so clumsy? Just wanted to demonstrate how it is open, and it's open over here too. You can probably see it, even though I'm finding it difficult to separate it. Here too, they're open on these 2 sides, but only so far. Here it actually ends over here almost like a bag. I mean, these were actually the outer walls of a bag that was glued along these 2 edges out here, and it's sealed there to make it a double sheet of paper. These are going to become the replacement top coverings. I can already see from here how a little bit of what was out here as top covering remains. Nice stuff that we can definitely reuse as a little bit of supplemental top surface feeding almost at this point. I thought we could dampen it if it still remained, so as to make it a little bit more appealing for worms to maybe take a bite out of this stuff instead of allowing it to linger, and definitely bringing it inboard more, closer to the center where it's not so close to the edge or even hanging out of the edge of the plastic, allowing for airflow, and the stuff just is completely dry if it's just not been covered by plastic. So we'll do what we can to sort of elevate the appeal of those 2 pieces of newspaper there to make them more of a food type thing. So it was kind of fun coming in last time where we had been following up on a feeding from 2 times ago. So last time we were barging in on the worms, still working on some mangoes. There was also banana peel. There was also, was there actually banana? I forget. There was kiwi too. So we'll definitely be encountering the leftovers of that, because here, if I go straight down the middle, I already know myself well enough that I know where to find the seed of a mango. If I left it in the bin somewhere, chances are it's going to be dead center where the rest of the foods had been placed. But I'll tell you, anything other than that, let's see, what's this? Well, yeah, okay, a pumpkin stem going back who knows how many months. That's not really recent. The only other thing I was thinking was maybe banana peel, because even though, wow, look at this. This must be part of the kiwi, and the outer skin of it, or the whatever that is, the outer portion of it is obviously holding up very good, and the worms just seem to love hanging out inside this thing. see some springtails there too. I guess maybe there's still a little bit something left for them to eat in there. Hard to believe with all the worms in there. But I don't know, I had this suspicion that I think kiwi might be a little bit citrus, in the citrus category, maybe slower to break down. Maybe that's now it's lasting. It wasn't fed last time, it was fed 2 times ago, so this goes back 2 feedings. Banana peel, is that what I see here? Something. Might be. If that's all that's left of the banana peel from 2 feedings ago, that's pretty good. Sometimes it takes them a little longer, but I can feel there's a good moisture content down here in the feeding zone. So I guess that whole kiwi going in there must have dumped out a bunch of moisture, not to mention the entire, well, no, it was only half, right? So we cut the mango down the middle, so each system got only half of that. So it seems like we've had a nice cozy feeding area. despite the last feeding not even being placed in there. Last feeding just being spread out across the top. Well, you know, as long as we're kind of into a theme here of excavating the feeding zone and seeing how we're making progress on certain stuff that we know is in there. I mean, it's kind of cookie cutter at this point, right? What we're encountering here, no surprises. Although I wonder if the kiwi, because look at this. Let's not dump this one out. Let's leave the few worms that are in it. I figured if I can sort of open it up to better take the shape of the kiwi. This one, for whatever reason, just isn't as popular. Maybe there are leftovers in the one that's over in bin number 1. The one here in bin number 2 seems like it's already been stripped clean and for the most part abandoned by any worms, except for a couple still seemingly taking interest. Here too, banana, maybe banana peel chunk, possibly. All right, so you know, I don't really have a need to have these center areas opened up as a place to put our feeding. As you know, I'm going to be spreading today's feeding out across the top, so let's at least stick to, this must be banana peel, let's at least stick to keeping these old objects where we'd expect to find them, just in case we need to go looking for them. We'll place them back down in the middle, but as for the rest of the systems, let's just get everything a good stir, try to get a sense of how things seem. So like for me, lately, checking the outer edges of the systems, as we just did over here on the edge closer to me in bin number 1. I was looking mainly for the sensation of moisture content, and also looking at how many worms are occupying this stuff. I mean, this stuff really has this really nice balance of being very free-flowing and crumbly while still being nice and damp, and it shows that it's comfortably damp by there being little jumbles of worms hanging out in the stuff. And, well, I mean, the frozen leafy matter that we're going to be spreading out across the top of the surface will probably bring a little bit of moisture with it, but I do believe that coming in with the spray bottle to dampen all that newspaper that we're going to replace back down across the top, but we're going to replace it in such a way that we, I don't know, maybe we even sprinkle it down with some, yeah, you know, besides the leafy matter, I've got coffee here and my worm chow, so perhaps after the leaves go down in the newspaper, perhaps we can try to increase the appeal of that top coating of old newspaper bits by sprinkling on some coffee, some worm chow. Yeah, I think I like the sound of that. So this is kind of almost like a soft entry into a foraging stage, or at least what I would consider to be a foraging stage. You know, I mean, I'm still giving them fresh foods, still continuing on with feedings, but the feedings that I'm giving them are at this point geared for pretty quick breakdown and depletion. And I'm definitely in the mindset of, hey, you know, there's a whole bunch of stuff remaining in here from days gone by. Work on that too, please. Although I'm still happy to use them as a place to get rid of household waste, kitchen scraps, and the like. And it's always just fun to kind of keep them on your radar, even though I'm going to be probably, I don't know, foraging just these days has been something I haven't done much. In the past, for me, it was almost like a strict cutoff of food, and more recently I've been kind of coming up with variations of that, a sort of a hybrid approach I would call it, where I would still like them to be nipping off material throughout the entire system, scattered everywhere, all kinds of lingering debris from past check-ins, whether it's food scraps or bedding bits, but it's always okay to come back in with a little extra yummy treat for them to continue working on. So yeah, I think if we keep this piece of newspaper clear of the very edge of the bubble wrap, just keep it nice and tight, inboard, right over the vegetable matter, it'll definitely be seen by the worms probably more as a food source and not so much as bedding type materials. Let's see if we can do such a nice job on this one. Let's see if we could imitate the lovely use of this material more as food at this point over here in bin number 2 as well. Sometimes bringing in your quote-unquote clean hand is just the easiest way to get stuff done. Even in the last video, it seemed like I was battling with my clumsiness trying to get this piece of newspaper spread out nicely, but you know, it doesn't have to be a Mona Lisa. I think that's close enough for government work. So let's see if we can drop in a little bit of, oh well, we went a little bit overboard. I was a little taken by surprise there. This is pretty much full. It might be the first time I'm actually applying any of it to a worm bin. And here's the little jolt of coffee we promised them too. And at this point, as part of feeding 20, do we need to give them grit? I don't know if it's necessary, but I've got it right here. We'll even give them a treat of that just in case it is something they would like to have more of. So at this point, I think the whole idea of dampening these things that we've laid out on the top surface to be their meal plan should be a pretty welcomed treat, especially if we give it to them the way we're doing here, which is thoroughly dampened, pretty much soaked. And then I think the worms are just going to take to it almost immediately. I mean, there's the food and the grit, and the paper that's going in is totally familiar, having been in the bins for so long. I have a feeling the worms are going to really enjoy this. All right. And I kind of like being able to clear off my gloves right there at the same time. Pretty convenient. So that's it for our check-in, everybody, with the now 234-day-old original red wiggler worms doing so nice in these systems, and I'll be curious to see what they make of these feedings, the way that we've set them up for them. Hopefully they like it. And hopefully you liked the video. If you did, as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go. That's always really appreciated. And if you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. That's very much appreciated as well. All right, everyone, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye now. Whoa, 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 hold the phone. I can already hear you guys out there shouting. You forgot the replacement top coverings. You're absolutely right. Apologies. Definitely worth winding up the video again for that, just to make sure we're taking care of it. And hopefully putting it in dry is not going to be a problem. I don't think it is going to be a problem. I think we're going to be in great shape here. All right, everyone. Thanks again. Bye.